This morning, as every morning, I try to figure out how I can use this day most efficiently. I have to make a plan because there's still so much snow out there, there's no way we could paint anything. The backyard is the proverbial ice skating rink. And that's why good sequencing has allowed us to get to this day and not have anything really important to paint. We have indoor work today. Sounds like I'm running a military operation, but I'm not really. I'm just trying to get the most out of the possible things I can get done on our project and around the house, and that's a whole separate issue today. So I always say, and I always tell other people, I enjoy having each day of my life just a little different and sequencing up stuff that I think I can get done. Every day that changes, and every day is a challenge. And that's why good sequencing and good luck, and we've had both recently anyway. Now today I don't have to be out at this painting table. I will be in a nice warm cellar with a nice hot cup of coffee. So this is always the first thing in the morning on a day like today, because I've got to go to Home Depot. We have stuff on our Home Depot list. What a great way to start the day. It's unbelievable. See, this is enough to make you want to move to New Jersey right now. Jump on that next plane and come to New Jersey for your vacation. Unbelievable. It's very nice to come in out of the cold and know that all the work we'll be doing today will be under nice indoor controlled conditions, not outside in the tundra. It makes all the difference in the world. Now Luciano's job is in its second day of the clear drying out. The emblems came out great. The gas cap looks like it's ready. So this part, we're going to have to touch base with Luciano, see if he wants to buff it or if he wants me to buff it. I'll take a wild guess on that one when I talk to him later. Now what I did is late last night, after the day was over, I had forgotten I wanted to do this so it would be dry this morning. Now what I did, where that seal, a dust seal, is not in good shape, I had taken some Black Magic gasket sealer just to make it look a little bit, well, this is the part you're going to see right here. So I think we accomplished it. It does look a little better. And that Black Magic is plenty close of a match here. And I don't know once we put the fender on how much of that we're actually going to see. But anyway, it's irrelevant right now. We're not going to have time right now to do the seals and the dust seals, and I'm not going to do them because the forks don't leak. But at some point in time in the life of the motorcycle, if we have to take the forks apart, of course, the dust seal and the real oil seal will replace. And Luciano, and I know Vince knows how to do that too without a problem. He's got whatever special tools you need. I don't. Now, yesterday we got to do some of the cleanup and some of the polishing on this, and this leg came out as good as I could have expected. I've got to do the stain removal on this one, but now what's happened is because I've spent all the time figuring out what's going to work on this, this should go a lot quicker. And what I wound up using was 1000 grit wet and dry. So I spent probably, well, maybe a good hour cleaning that up, but it came out real nice. And then that's going to be the first thing today. This is going to be a separate day, and I've got to make some tools because I want to get in here and around here, and I'm not sure how I want to clean, polish, or paint that yet. I want to let that decision go. But it's always good if you have to make a decision, put it off to the very end of the day or the next day. The more time you can think about it, the better. I had originally thought about painting this black because the gold discs go behind it, but now I know with the black wheel, maybe I'll polish it. I don't know. I'm going to think about that till the end of the day. But that Black Magic on a seal seems to be, well, just makes it a little nicer cosmetically. It's not doing anything functionally, of course. So next thing is I'm going to get some 1000 grit paper out and clean this, hopefully get this cleaned up. And so by the end of this session, well, the biggest thing that's going to ruin the day is I got to go to Home Depot. And I got to buy a lot of stuff. When you have an old house, you get to know Home Depot very well. So because we did all the sandpaper testing yesterday, I know we can go right to 1000 grit paper. That'll save us quite a bit of time. And the second part always goes quicker than the first part. And it's not really a big secret, but if you have two things to paint, two things to do, it's amazing that how much quicker the second one goes. Now, doing all that testing yesterday, if this were the first part, I would have to do it over and over again, because I'm always afraid if I use too rough of a grit, what's going to happen to this part. I'm going to sand through the anodizing. And there's already parts where the anodizing I haven't gone through. The corrosion has gone through. And we're just going to try to live with them or mask over them or whatever. But I see we have a couple of scratches. This part where the triple trees was. But the second part will always go quicker. And if you take that into account, a lot of times when I'm planning out a day or sequencing up a day, I know, well, yeah, the first part, if I have two equal things, one's going to take an hour, the second one's going to take 45 minutes. And that's especially true if you're backmasking things or things where you have to get your rhythm going. Or if you're making two things where you have to make a lot of decisions in the very beginning, and then the second one, you just copy the first one. Well, in this one, I'm just going to spend an hour, say, and I will do most of it off camera because I know most of this comes right off. But it's that last little bit that you struggle with and you spend a lot of time with. And of course, see, here's a spot that didn't come off. It's just, this is the kind of thing you got to just be fussy. Now, I don't want to, because there's tooling marks in this that go around from this point and tooling marks here. I don't want to cut through those tooling marks. It's going to make it, to me, it's not going to make it any nicer. So what I'm trying to do is do all my sanding, so any scratches I get are going to be around the diameter, not back and forth. I'm trying not to do that if I possibly can. We're going to find out. Anyway, the time I have about an hour here to spend. Then I got to do the Home Depot thing. Then I got to work on the house tonight. So it never ends. It's funny, if you buy an old motorcycle, it never ends, an old house. And then if you make it to old age, which looks like I might have done, you find out that's just as much maintenance as everything else. It's a world of maintenance. But we do have our grandson coming to join us today. Not sure if we're going to make a snowman or what. Go to the Iditarod dog sled or what we're going to do today. Anyway, I do know I'm real happy to weigh these. And again, I'm going to thank Luciano for finding them, Pokey for helping me out with this. This is the kind of thing, like an A-team teamwork thing. And hey, I hope you enjoy these little snippets of stuff I put at the end of the video, because they are great memories, and they're all part of our, right now, 1,400 videos that are out there. You know, here's a spot that no matter how much I sand it, it doesn't want to come off, so I don't know if that's a stain. See, I'm being real careful about it, but I don't know what, that could be oxidation, I don't know. Now when it's a scratch, it's pretty easy to figure out. When there's a scratch, there's another spot. Now a lot of times, here's a scratch right here. I don't want to sand through the anodizing, so there's only a certain amount I can do with this. But the 1000 grit is leaving a pretty nice finish on it. And then I'm going to try to dedicate a whole dedicated day to doing those lower legs, where I don't have work to do on the house. The things like this, and a lot of times you can hide this in the back. You can just rotate the fork so it's facing where you don't really see it. So what I'm looking for is hopefully to get, because these rotate, of course, before you tighten down the triple tree. So I'm looking to see, now see this side, I've got a scratch right there. This is the worst of the two legs. So I'm going to off camera spend another, maybe I'll give that an extra hour or so before I get to go to Home Depot. Now what I thought was worth trying on some of these stains is just ordinary SOS pads. And yeah, it actually did. It did seem to work about like the 1000 grit, but some of these, like, I call them stains. They're really oxidation, I think. They really are tenacious, but again, the other choice I thought of, but I thought it's not going to look appropriate. I thought of taking off all the anodizing. I can do that very easily. and with a wire wheel or some 600 grit or something. And then from that point, just polishing these up and making them chrome looking. But you know, because they go up into the fairing, and it's not going to be appropriate, I don't think. See, one of the things of designing up a custom bike is, and I remember so many times I'd see a bike, I'd say, oh man, look at that, the seat is beautiful. Oh, look at that, look at it, paint's beautiful. And then one part of it, it's my personal taste. I was thinking, why did he do that for? Oh man, he had it so close, and then they put on, you know, a gefilte fish for a seat or something, or a skull or something that doesn't match. It's kind of like, as Karen has told me, like a trained artist many, many times, you get one little thing wrong and the whole thing is wrong. So I'm very conscious of it anyway. But now that took some more of it off it. See, every little thing I try takes some more of it off. So I'm wondering how much time. Obviously, I want to get it as nice as I can, but I want this part done. And by the way, this is a really significant thing. When you're doing a job that's going to take months, you got to be able to divide it up into do this today. I call it sequencing, but there's other words. But if you can't do that, you'll never get the job done. If I say you do it like a car wash, you do the bumper, do the hubcaps, you got to have a plan. You got to break the job down into smaller jobs and then break down the time that's available. Today we have a limited amount of time. I don't have one of those days where the whole day is it, because I have my grandson, I have Home Depot, I have these things around the house that need constant maintenance. But if I don't finish this today, and I've learned the hard way, don't just do it in 2 days. The job, there's no time window on this that has to be done at a certain day. Like I always laugh, the guys on bitchin' rides, I gotta get the car ready for SEMA. Oh, I gotta. No, we don't have. There's no SEMA for us. For us, it's Dale's weekend get-togethers. It doesn't matter. If we miss one, we get the next one. Now, anybody that doesn't have an old house, or maybe people go to Home Depot even if they have a new house. I don't know, but this is the problem. Is I spend half my life in this Home Depot in the underground garage. So, in case you need a job to pay for those the payments on that new bike you just bought, Home Depot is hiring. So what do you have to do when you get back from Home Depot? Make another pot of coffee. Oh, being addicted to coffee is terrible. Now back from Home Depot and back to what we were trying to accomplish here. I really wasn't happy with some of these stains, and I really wish I could get this oxidation off. And I'm sure, like somebody that, my late friend George Venturini, he's of course passed on, his brother Jim, and he had a giant anodizing shop in Karlstad. So I used to get things anodized all the time, and George would always explain to me, let me watch the parts going in and out of the tanks. And boy, I'm so smart. I'm not smart at all. If I was smart, I'd know how to get that stain out. But I really have put a lot of time and energy into it. And to be honest, even this seems to be that it's actually, I think we've gone through the anodizing here is the problem, and we're just chewing away at the aluminum. So I'm going to take this for another half an hour or so, 15 minutes, I don't know, and then I'm going to move on, because I have another thing I want to do today. I want to polish the bolts for the lower fork legs, and I thought I'd be able to show how great I am and how smart I am by getting this all cleaned up. But it looks like, see, what's going to happen, and it's not really a problem. It's because I'm a fuss budget and I'm like an old lady here. The triple tree, I'm going to have this, the last inch is going to get clamped. So the only thing you're going to see is one little scratch. And see, I can turn the fork tube. This, by the way, turns, and I can put the good side out, which I guess is going to be my only choice here. But I just am annoyed that I can't figure out a way to do this frustrated, I guess. I thought I'd come up with some magic solution, but the one solution I know I don't want to, and I would suggest you never do this because I've done it and I've ruined parts. Take it over to the wire wheel, and that, unless you want to take the anodizing off. You don't want to do that. So anyway, what I thought I'd do is, before this is over, I would take a, just for protection purposes, put a coat of Flitz on this whole part. The Flitz isn't going to make it any shinier, but what it is going to do is give it about 6 months of anti-corrosion protection. And who knows when we're going to ever get to ride in the rain, or if you knew that, you'd be way ahead of the game. Anyway, I think I'm at the end of the road here. I'm going to put some Flitz on this and then move on to other projects. Now, the Flitz is really not going to, I don't think it's going to do anything in terms of making the anodizing shine more, but I know it's going to leave protection. And it says an anti-tarnish formula, which lasts up to 6 months. I don't know if I'm going to last up to 6 months, but anyway, we have put other videos out on our channel reviewing this and polishing aluminum with it and doing other things. It's a great product, but it's not used as rubbing compound. It's 6,000 grit. It's really just for the protection. I'm not trying to buff this out or shine it or anything, but I would like to have anti-corrosion, especially after seeing all the corrosion that was on here. So I'll do this one, I'll do the other leg, and then I'm going to move on to polishing the bolts. But even little steps like this, when you think of how much time and energy goes into a restoration, it's cheap insurance that it's going to last. And I always, well, I forgot to mention, it's a dedicated pad. Only Flitz goes on this pad. But now that we've been doing this, probably if we're going to do any paint this afternoon, we'll want to put a new pad on here, that's for sure. But this is something, if you like to have shiny, clean stuff somewhere in your arsenal, this is good stuff. And they got a lot of videos out on YouTube you can check out that other people have done as well as myself. This is what the result of all our polishing was. I think these are the two sides we're going to see. I think that was well worth it. That's going to be like, unless somebody sits on a radiator and looks, I think that's going to be really nice. And this took a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm just not sure. Well, this part of it, I've been putting this off to the end. This is going to be a labor of love. And I know, because I've done it already on the original forks that are on the bike. This is going to take, there's a coating on here. I don't know what the coating is, but I know it's got to come off before you're going to see raw aluminum. And this color is not right. The raw aluminum color is going to be bright. But even if I have to make a few special tools, that'll be a separate video, that's for sure. And I'm not going to even try to start that today. That's a very labor-intensive part of this. Now, these are the lower fork bolts, and you do get to see these. You see especially the front and about 1/8 of an inch of the lip. So while I have this apart, and this is what I try to do to all my projects, while I have anything apart, clean up the bolts. Just to show here, is it worth it? Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. But if I look at the 4 bolts, I take a eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I think that's the one I want on my bike. So a combination of the wire wheel to do the threads, buffing a little red rouge, and these bolts, it takes minutes to do each one. They go so quickly, it's ridiculous. And not to do it once you have everything apart, to me, is just not good sequencing. Now these are some of the special bolts that I would not want to replace if I don't have to. I want to use the original Yamaha bolts. But by polishing up and cleaning them up, especially in this case, the Loctite will stick better. And it'll just look a lot better. And I think any real nicely done, well done restoration is just a lot of little details. You can break down a big job into a lot of little pieces, and it's a lot of little jobs. Now I've got a little bit of time left. I thought I'd do a paint test on this and see if this paint is ready for buffing. This has been drying a day, but in our shop here it's cold. That's the problem. Is this paint is made to dry at 72 degrees under controlled conditions. It's not made to dry in a 28 degree garage and a 65 degree cellar. So if I get the 2500 sandpaper out, wet sand this down and buff it, once I know this is ready for buffing, then the next time I get to work, I'll do all those other parts for Luciano. I'm not even going to ask him. I'll just charge him double. Okay, so to do our sand out test, 2500 grit, and we'll know right away if that paint is hard enough. You never want to, until the paint is totally hard and it doesn't leave any little specks of paint on the sandpaper, you're just going to spend 5 times the amount of time. By having the paint totally hard, we're gonna hopefully minimize the work. Now this part of it, pretty cut and dry. Okay, the test here is pretty simple. Even just a basic, let me dry it off. The trick is to look in the sandpaper and not see little specks of paint. So what it's telling me is the paint is ready to go. It's just a question. We'll get this sanded out a little bit. The 2500 usually cuts pretty nice. I've used 3000, but it seems like 2500 is a good balance between it cuts quick and it's ready for buffing very quickly. Now, I'm going to use that real good compound that we had, and to me that's another thing, that the compound, the Meguiar's is good, and so is, and I think the stuff that I've been using, the 4C, is just a little bit better. And we're going to see how it works out on this part, that's for sure. But the whole key to most of this stuff is not trying to buff out a part until the paint is totally hard. And it takes a little patience. It really does take a little patience. And we have had really good luck with this. Just up there with Meguiar's as one of the best. I think this is really a good compound. If you only have one in your toolbox, this would be a good one to have. 80-65. Now I even polished that little end where the key is going to go, because I know if you turn that key enough times the paint's going to start peeling there. We've kind of ensured that that's not going to happen. Boy, that looks a whole lot better than it did. Luciano, I think you're going to be very happy with this. So what the little gas cap test tells us is that this paint is for sure, since we did it on the same day with the same batch, same temperature, this whole part is ready to buff, and the emblems I think are going to look pretty cool on there. And we're ready to do this part, but this is going to be a dedicated, that's going to be a bigger job than you can imagine. This came out great. As we're going through the job, I'm doing the bolts, so everything is working out great. Love the black gas cap. Again, thank you, Glenn. this is going to be a really, really nice cafe racer. I just get a feeling. I get a good feeling about this bike. Luciano is going to do a nice job on this. And when it's done, you'll see it on the videos, of course. So the way this all played out, we have this part tested. I decided instead of, see, we're always a day or two ahead on the videos. So I decided to give Luciano a little surprise. I'm going to buff this all out for him. Just because I'm a nice guy. Anyway, I'm really happy the way this paint job came out. I'm glad we put the stripes here. We didn't just paint it mellow yellow, whatever he calls this color. But I think this is going to be a real cool cafe racer. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and the next time we get to work here and have a session, there'll be, I guess we'll buff this out so we can get this out of the shop, because Glenn's going to be bringing his job in here within a week. And I have some old footage to put on the end of this that might be fun to watch. I've been trying to do that. Everybody seems to like that. I've gotten a lot of good feedback about it. Because don't forget, our videos go back a long time, and there's a lot of people, well, the sad news, some of them don't ride anymore because of whatever reason. Some of them have passed away. Always good to have all our characters on video. Anyway, again, I hope you enjoyed the video. And thanks for painting motorcycles. Thanks for watching. And this is what it's like. Life at the top. Life for bitchin' rides here.
A long way to the top if you want to rock and roll.
Oh boy. Yeah, that's gonna be nice. That looks good. Now, just to mention, when you're doing a part like this, we had to fill in a couple little spots. But the main thing is to get all the edges radius. This is where paint tends to crack. If it cracks here, you just wind up with a piece of paint missing somewhere down the road that you're not real happy about. And since we're really going to, well, hopefully this is going to look like Gary Nixon's bike or something by the time we're done. Well, somebody, maybe Richard Nixon's bike. Gary Nixon, not many people know Gary Nixon is Richard Nixon's son. He helped him on his election. Jesus, boy, we're losing it here. Wow, I'm telling you.
It's the fumes.
Well, the good news is Vlad's stuff really looks dynamite. This is ready to buff out.
We're gonna be there soon.
Vlad, I hope you realize how much time went into those parts. Wow, this is ready to buff out. This is ready to buff out. Wow, everything's ready to buff out here. Now we're just waiting for some Bondo to dry here. Once that Bondo dries, yow, we're in high velour here, so to speak. By the way, I have to show this. This is that little thing at Home Depot. It's a Harbor Freight thing. What it's good for is when you're trying to, we were using that to get the paint out of there, or sand Bondo. It fits right in there nice. That's a nice little tool to have in your arsenal for $3 or something, whatever it costs. Yeah, that's almost ready for primer. I'm ready to prime.
We're real close on this.
As soon as you give me the okay, boss,
As soon as we're at the
I'll go shake up a can of primer. Shake, 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 Sonora.